Ladies, we've been fed a lie that tells us we have to choose, that we must either be soft or strong, nurturing or ambitious, tender or tough. We've been told that femininity is weakness and power is hardness. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if your softness is your strength? What if your presence, your deeply feminine, intuitive, radiant presence, is the most powerful thing in the room? Today, we're tearing down the false divide. Because you are not either or, you are both. You can be wildly powerful and unapologetically feminine. And when you embrace both, that's when the magic happens. Let's talk about how. Fist or a booming voice, it doesn't ask for permission to exist, but it also doesn't need to prove itself to be valid. This revolution is the reclamation of your softness, the kind the world once told you to hide, to toughen up, to edit down so you wouldn't seem too emotional, too needy, too feminine, too much. But that softness you've been taught to silence. It was never your weakness. It was always your superpower in disguise. You were born with a softness that made you intuitive. That allowed you to sense the emotions in the room before anyone said a word. You were born with a heart that wanted to understand, not dominate. You were wired to connect, not control. And somehow the world looked at that and decided it was a liability. So you were told to toughen up, to stop crying, to stop caring so much. You were told to be more logical, more distant, more calculating, more in control. They told you the world is harsh and cold, and if you want to survive in it, you'll have to be the same. But the truth they never told you is that your softness was never meant to be armored. It was meant to be honored. You were never meant to become hardened by the world. You were meant to soften it. Your presence, your warmth, your nurturing, these are not side effects of being a woman. They are the essence of your power. The way you listen, the way you feel, the way you hold space for someone without needing to fix them, the way you love without asking for applause. These things are not small. They are not extra. They are not optional. And the sooner you stop apologizing for them, the sooner you will reclaim your power. Because here's what they don't teach you. True strength doesn't come from armoring up. It comes from being real. And realness means being connected to yourself, to others, and to your emotions. It means letting yourself feel without shame. It means allowing tears to fall when they need to. It means not flinching away from vulnerability, but walking into it with open arms. Because vulnerability, despite what the world tells you, is not weakness. It's the most radical act of courage you'll ever commit to. You can't be fully powerful if you are half present in your truth. And your truth includes your softness. It includes your heart. It includes your capacity to love deeply, to feel fully, to care endlessly. And yes, that means you will be hurt sometimes. That means you will feel things others can't handle. That means your emotions will run deeper, wider, more intense. But that doesn't make you less strong. It makes you more alive. There is power in being the one who still believes in love after heartbreak. There is power in choosing kindness in a world that confuses cruelty with strength. There is power in showing up with empathy when it's easier to shut down. You are not weak for choosing softness. You are revolutionary for choosing it again and again in a world that tried to beat it out of you. We live in a culture that celebrates force. It glorifies domination. It worships hustle and burnout and the illusion of control. But what if the deepest power isn't in control but in connection? What if the real strength is not in how high you climb, but how deeply you feel, how tenderly you treat others, how beautifully you can hold space for your own soul in its rawest, most unfiltered form? You are not made to be one-dimensional. You are not just fire. You are water too. You are wind. You are earth. You are all the elements dancing together in one divine body. Your softness is not the opposite of strength. It is the source of it. A woman who knows how to feel her pain and still chooses to love. She is dangerous in the most beautiful way, because nothing can shame her into silence. Nothing can convince her to harden her heart just to fit in. Nothing can strip her of her power, because she knows where it lives, and it lives in the parts of her that once made her feel too much. You do not need to apologize for crying, for caring, for craving depth, for needing affection, for being expressive, for feeling everything a little louder and loving a little harder. You do not need to explain why you're not as emotionally detached as the world wants you to be. You are not here to numb your way through life. You are here to experience it, to feel it, to live in high definition, and that is nothing to be ashamed of. Your softness is what allows others to feel safe. It's what gives people permission to be themselves. It's what reminds the world that love still exists. It's what heals wounds that no amount of logic ever could. Your softness is what turns a house into a home, a moment into a memory, a relationship into something sacred. It's not weakness, it's medicine. And when you stop hiding it, when you stop diminishing it, when you stop contorting yourself just to appear as strong in the way society defines it, you become something untouchable. Not because you've armored yourself, but because you finally own the truth that you don't need to be anything other than exactly who you are. And maybe some people won't understand you. Maybe they'll tell you you're too sensitive. Maybe they'll make you feel like you need to toughen up to be taken seriously. Let them say what they want. But don't let them change you. Because the world has enough coldness, enough competition, enough ego. What the world needs is women like you. Women who lead with heart. Women who choose peace over power trips. Women who know how to hold others without losing themselves. Women who refuse to numb their light just to make others comfortable. And the most beautiful thing is, when you stop apologizing for your softness, you give other women permission to stop apologizing for theirs. You start a ripple effect. You shift the energy of rooms just by walking in. You show people that you can be nurturing and strong, that you can feel deeply and still move through the world with unshakable grace, that you don't have to raise your voice to be heard, that you don't have to abandon your emotions to be respected, because respect starts with how you treat yourself. And when you honor your softness as sacred, the world begins to reflect that truth back to you. So stop apologizing for your tears, for your compassion, for your empathy, for your warmth, for your nurturing, for your emotional intelligence, for your open heart. These things are not burdens, they are blessings. They are not traits to suppress, they are traits to celebrate. Your softness is not something to get over, it's something to grow into. Let your softness be your compass. Let it guide you toward people who see you. Let it attract relationships that cherish you, not try to fix or diminish you. Let it open doors to opportunities that don't require you to lose yourself. Let it be the fire that warms, not burns. Let it be the quiet confidence that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Because here's the thing, the woman who is fully in her softness is not powerless. She's magnetic. She doesn't chase. She doesn't perform. She doesn't manipulate. She simply is. And that is Ness. That authenticity is what makes her unforgettable. So walk into every room with your heart open and your head high. Walk like you belong, because you do. Speak like your voice matters, because it does. Feel like your emotions are valid, because they are. You don't need to trade your feminine essence for power. You are power. You've always been power. Not the kind that crushes, but the kind that creates. So don't dim your light. Don't harden your heart. Don't apologize for the way your soul was wired. You did. You were never too much. You were never too soft. You were never not enough. You were exactly what this world needed. A woman who is both open and anchored, tender and tenacious, soft and so incredibly strong. There's something sacred about a person who shows up fully, not in perfection, not in performance, but in presence. In this world that constantly demands more hustle, more noise, more applause, more image, there is something quietly revolutionary about choosing to just be. Not act, not impress, not win over, but be. Be grounded, be real. Be whole, be whole. And when you lead with presence instead of performance, you stop trying to become what you think the world wants you to be, and instead you allow yourself to become who you actually are. From the time we were little, we were taught how to perform. We learned what smiles got us praise, what words got us love, what behaviors got us acceptance. And slowly, piece by piece, we started to build a mask. We didn't do it to be fake. We did it to survive, to fit in, to feel seen. But over time, the performance became a habit. We started shaping our lives around approval. We chased validation like oxygen, not realizing we were suffocating our own essence in the process. And the scariest part, sometimes we got so good at the performance, we forgot we were performing at all. We became experts at reading the room, at being who they needed us to be, at saying what they wanted to hear, at doing the things that made others comfortable, even if it made us shrink. And every time we got the smile, the like, the pat on the back, it reinforced the illusion that performance was the path to love. That the better we played the role, the more worthy we'd become. But the truth is, love built on performance is never real love. It's applause dressed as affection. And it leaves you feeling lonelier than being alone. Because you're surrounded by people who like the version of you that isn't even you. Hey, but presence invites the real you to show up, not the curated one, not the filtered one, not the one who's always polished, always impressive, always on. Just you, messy, honest, in progress, full of contradictions, full of grace, full of humanity. And when you lead from that place, something magical happens. You create connection instead of projection. You invite intimacy instead of admiration. You allow space for your soul to be known, not just noticed. Performance is about control. Presence is about surrender. When you're performing, you're constantly managing perception. You're editing your words, rehearsing your reactions, protecting your image. You're 2 steps ahead in your mind, always calculating, always anticipating. But presence doesn't live in the future. It lives in now. It lives in your breath, in your body, in your awareness. Presence is when you stop trying to be something and just allow yourself to feel everything. It's when you look someone in the eye and actually see them, not with judgment, but with curiosity. It's when you're not planning what to say next because you're too busy actually listening. Presence is a kind of love you offer the world by showing up wholeheartedly without performance. And when you do that, people don't just see you, they feel you. There's a weight that lifts when you stop performing. When you realize you don't need to constantly prove your worth through busyness or beauty or brilliance, that you don't need to be the most likable person in the room to be the most impactful. That it's okay if not everyone gets you, because you weren't born to be a brand, you were born to be a soul. Presence isn't flashy, it doesn't beg to be recognized, but it leaves a deeper imprint than any performance ever could, because presence is rare, it's raw, it's real, and in a world addicted to highlights and headlines, being truly present is a form of rebellion. It says, I'm not here to entertain you, I'm here to connect, I'm not here to play a part. I'm here to be me. When you lead with presence, you stop leading from a place of fear. You stop asking, what do I need to do to be loved? And start asking, who do I need to be to stay aligned with my truth? You stop performing to get attention and start offering your energy from a grounded place of self-trust. You stop sacrificing your peace to maintain an image and start reclaiming your inner freedom by being fully, unapologetically you. And yes, presence is scary sometimes, because it requires you to drop the script, to say, here I am in all my imperfection, to let go of the roles you've mastered and meet yourself in the rawness of the moment. And yet, there's nothing more magnetic than a person who shows up unmasked, who dares to be fully human, who doesn't need a spotlight to shine because their light comes from within. You don't need to impress him. You don't need to be effortlessly cool or endlessly interesting. You don't need to lead with the highlight reel of your life. You need to be there. Look him in the eyes. Feel what you feel. Let the silence speak. Let the moment breathe. Stop reaching for the next thing to say and start feeling the energy between you. True intimacy lives in presence, not performance, in showing up as you are, not how you think you should be. Because when someone truly sees you, and they fall in love with that version, the real version, you don't need to keep performing to keep them. And if they don't, you're free. Free to keep your heart open for someone who does. Someone who isn't looking for a show, but a connection. Someone who values your authenticity more than your polish. Someone who wants the real you, not the rehearsed one. You were not born to entertain. You were born to embody. And when you embody your truth, your energy speaks louder than any performance ever could. Presence is also a gift you give yourself. It grounds you in your worth. It connects you back to your breath when anxiety tells you to overanalyze. It reminds you that you are enough, even when no one is clapping. It brings you back to your body when your mind tries to race ahead. Presence whispers, always safe to slow down. You're allowed to just be. You don't have to earn your existence, so stop over-explaining. Stop auditioning for people's approval. Stop trying to be the most impressive woman in the room. Be the most present one. Be the one who listens with her whole heart, the one who doesn't need to interrupt silence because she's not afraid of it. The one who owns her energy without needing to overpower anyone else. That kind of woman doesn't need attention. She attracts it because her presence is felt before she even says a word. You don't need to perform to be powerful. You don't need to hustle to be worthy. You don't need to be perfect to be lovable. You just need to be here, in this moment, in your body, in your heart, fully, freely, truthfully. And yes, people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you wore. They'll forget how flawless your social media looked. But they will never forget the way you made them feel when you were truly present with them. That is the legacy of presence, It's not performance that lingers, it's presence that transforms. So lead with it, live in it, trust it, return to it over and over again. Your presence is your power. It always has been. There comes a point in your journey where you can no longer betray yourself to belong to others. A point where your body, your heart, and your spirit say, and no more. Not because you've become cold, not because you've stopped caring, but because you've finally remembered that your soul was never meant to shrink so someone else could feel tall. And in that moment, quiet but seismic, you begin the sacred act of standing tall in your boundaries and your desires. It sounds simple, but it's not. Because standing tall means standing alone sometimes. It means risking misunderstanding. It means not being the most agreeable, the most easygoing, the most selfless woman in the room. It means saying a no when your past conditioning whispers, just be nice. It means choosing discomfort over disconnection from yourself, and for a long time that feels unnatural. Because so many of us were taught to please first and process later. We learn to make ourselves digestible, to round our edges, dim our needs, and avoid conflict at all costs. We were rewarded for our silence, praised for our adaptability, and told that having high standards was being too much. But what happens when you've spent years bending until you break? What happens when your yes has become a betrayal of everything your heart is screaming for? What happens when you realize you've been begging for crumbs in places you deserve to be feasting? You stop, you draw the line, and you rise. That's what boundaries are, not walls to keep people out, but lines that protect the sacred within you. Boundaries are the language of self-respect. They are how your soul says, I matter too. They are how you teach others how to treat you. Not through anger, not through ultimatums, but through the quiet, unwavering commitment to your own peace. And every time you honor them, you're telling yourself, you're safe with me now. I won't abandon you anymore just to feel wanted. It's hard at first, because when you start standing tall, some people will be uncomfortable. Not everyone will cheer you on when you stop playing small, especially if they benefited from your silence. Especially if they liked the version of you who never asked for more. But your life is not an audition. You were not put here to be palatable. You were put here to be powerful, and that power is rooted in your ability to honor your truth without apology. You don't need to explain why you have certain standards. You don't need to justify why you don't chase, don't beg, don't entertain half-hearted love. You don't need to argue about why you need consistency, communication, depth. The right people will respect your boundaries, not resent them. They will lean in when you speak your needs, not punish you for having them. And those who can't meet you there, that's okay. Bless them, release them, and keep walking. Because the moment you betray yourself to keep someone is the moment you start losing yourself. And you've worked too hard, come too far, healed too deeply to forget your worth now. Your desires are not selfish. Your needs are not too big. Your heart isn't needy. It's awake. It knows what it wants. It knows how it wants to be loved. And you honoring that doesn't make you high maintenance. It makes you high awareness. You're not here to settle for almost. You're not here to prove your value through self-sacrifice. You're not here to play cool with someone who only shows up when it's convenient. You are here to experience love that is mutual, steady, soul-nourishing. And that begins with the way you love yourself. The love you crave must start from within. When you start standing tall, you're no longer waiting for someone to choose you to feel valuable. See, you start choosing yourself again and again. And from that place of self-trust, your energy shifts. You stop attracting people who want access without effort. You stop entertaining dynamics that feel like emotional begging. You stop reaching for someone who only sees your light when it's easy, and you wait for the one who stays steady through your shadows too. Standing tall means being willing to walk away from anything that costs your peace. It means saying, if you can't meet me in love, I will meet myself in grace. It means letting silence speak where explanations fall flat. It means honoring your intuition even when your logic tells you to compromise. And most of all, it means remembering this. You are allowed to take up space in your own life. No more apologizing for your boundaries. No more watering down your voice to avoid being labeled difficult. No more tolerating half-effort, low-investment connections because you're afraid of being alone. You standing tall is not about being rigid, it's about being rooted. Rooted in truth, rooted in clarity, rooted in self-worth. Sometimes you'll feel the pull to go back to old patterns, to give one more chance, to soften a boundary that you know you've set for a reason. But here's what you must remember. You're not the woman you used to be. You're not operating from fear anymore. You're operating from love, and real love always starts with self-respect. Desire is sacred. It's not something to suppress. Your desire to be seen, cherished, prioritized, chosen, it's holy. Don't make yourself smaller just because the person in front of you can't meet it. That doesn't mean your desires are too much. It means their capacity is too little, and that's not your responsibility to fix. You don't need to be more patient, more understanding, more accommodating to make broken love work. You need to be more honest about what's not working. And that kind of honesty, that's what it means to stand tall. It's not about being harsh. It's about being clear. It's about saying, this is who I am. This is what I need. And I'm no longer available for anything that diminishes that. People will rise or fall to meet the standards you set. Not the words you speak, but the energy you embody. So ask yourself, what am I teaching the world about how to treat me? Where am I still abandoning myself to belong? Where am I shrinking my desires so I don't make others uncomfortable? And then ask yourself this, what would it look like if I stopped? What would it look like if you walked through the world knowing your standards weren't a burden, but a blessing? What if you saw your desires not as demands, but as declarations of what your soul is ready to receive? What if you trusted that your no was just as powerful as your yes? What if you believed, with every fiber of your being, that your boundaries aren't blocking love? They're protecting it. You teach others how to love you by the way you love yourself when no one's watching, by the way you speak to yourself in the mirror, by the way you advocate for your needs in quiet rooms, by the way you hold yourself when others don't show up the way you hoped. And every time you stand tall, in that conversation, in that decision, in that silence, you're telling the universe, I am ready for real, I am ready for aligned, I am ready for love that honors the woman I've become. This is the era of your self-respect, of your wholeness, of your voice. You're not here to fit in, you're here to remember who you are. And when you do that, when you stand tall in your truth, you won't need to chase love. You'll attract it, the kind that's rooted, the kind that's steady, the kind that's worthy of the woman you've fought so hard to become. So hold your boundaries not like armor, but like a crown. Speak your desires not like demands, but like prayers. And remember, every time you honor your truth, you rise. And that rising, that's what changes everything.